Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Event and Reinvent for Parents. I'm so glad you're joining me tonight. As we're waiting for everyone to log on, I wanted to kind of just point out a couple of things on this Zoom webinar. So the first thing is you can chat, and if you want to chat into the chat window, just choose whether or not you want to send the message just to me. I think it might say to host or panelist, or if you want to send it to everyone, and then you choose, like host and everyone or attendees. And so while we're waiting for everyone to log on, if you want to just experiment with using the chat window, just go ahead and say hi. Hi, Crystal. Go ahead and say hi and put the town and state you're logging in from. I know most of us are from New Jersey. I know we had some people. Awesome. Roxbury and Wayne and Summit. Hi, Tammy. Oh, great. And Bloomingdale and Pompton Plains, Kinnelon, Clifton, Austin, Texas. Nice. Montville, Bayonne, Wayne. Hi, Patty. Hi, Karen. Awesome. Butler, New Providence, Chester, Little Falls, Caldwell. Awesome. This is great. It's really great to have you all here. So feel free to use the chat window. If you want to send a question, I'm going to ask you to use the Q&A. There is a Q&A button, and that's how I'll know that you have a specific question related to something I'm talking about, as opposed to the chat where I might just tell everyone to chat a quick answer to a question. So that's basically how we're going to work this. So let me get full here. All right, great. And I'm going to put this chat here. It's really nice to have so many of you joining. I do hope that your families are healthy and well and managing okay. I wanted to offer this webinar series because I do so much work with teenagers. Hopefully some of you have had your teenagers log into some of the free programming I'm doing for teenagers. But I also work with parents and have talked to a lot of parents, and some of you may know or may have seen one of my presentations in person with parents over the past several years. I love going into schools and doing programs, talking about parenting. Some of you have probably heard me speak specifically on healthy development, social media use, the impact of technology on growing minds, or how to help our children and teens manage our culture and deal with anxiety and stress. So these are things that I have studied and have focused on during this pandemic as well. I've been talking to a lot of parents and a lot of teenagers. And so tonight, I want to answer your questions. I also want to show you clips from some interviews that I've been doing with teenagers. I've been asking them how their parents are doing, what's been helpful, what has been not so helpful, and what do they wish their parents would be doing. And so I thought it'd be really helpful to get some insights directly from teenagers. So I'm going to show you some clips as well as take your questions. I want to keep this energetic and exciting to you. So I want to start with a poll so I can kind of see who's out there. I'm going to launch a poll. All you have to do is click on your answer. The first one is a multiple choice question. You can click on multiple answers, right? So how old are your kids? You have the young ones, the elementary age ones, middle school, high school. So go ahead and take a moment to do that. I'll show you the results so we can see who's in the audience with us. Nice, great. All right, oh good. All right, another moment. I see a few more people coming in with their answers. Great, and I'm glad the technology is working so well. All right, so a large majority of you have high schoolers, but a lot of you are here with all ages, and so that really helps me to know who's here. I called this webinar Vent and Reinvent because I wanted to give you a place to feel like you can express some of your intense emotions. And then of course also to get ideas and feel a little recharged when you leave with not just ideas, but a sense of connection and support to other parents, so that when you're moving through your day, facing some of the challenges that you're facing as a parent during this time, you can think about some of the things we shared and just know that there's a group here that wants to connect and that wants to help each other. So the vent part can happen right now using the chat. So I thought it might be fun, funny, helpful, hopefully, to chat your frustrations, but like, you know, like appropriately. Perhaps something like a virtual scream, you know, might look like this, you know, ah. So feel free to scream into your chat window however you want, and express some of the frustrations that you've been having, to vent some of that out. So feel free to do that if you want to participate in the venting. I also am going to ask you now to send in your hard questions. What are your toughest questions? What are some of the things that you've been grappling with? I'm going to do my best to get to the ones that I think have the most application to our audience here and are thematic. Great. I'm glad I'm seeing some of the ughs and the ahs coming in. Feel free to do that throughout. I'm going to pull up a video from one of the teens that I've been talking to. And my question to her was, you know, what is something that your parents have done that maybe has been more stressful, even though the intention was to be helpful? And so let's, hang on a second. Nope, that's not. Let me share my screen. Let me get to, let's see here. Here we go. All right. You hang on, sorry. Bear with me with the technology for a minute. Managing controls here. I'm going to stop the share. I want to make sure you guys can hear the video as well. So just give me a moment while I share the computer sound and optimize the screen. And let me pull this up again. Yeah, here we go. Okay. And so as I am doing this, if you are having any trouble hearing or seeing, you'll chat me and let me know. Let's hear what this teen has to say about what her parents might be doing that they're trying to be helpful, but it's maybe adding some stress for her.
I think it's just spending a lot of excessive time with the family. I have a lot of trouble being around my family because it's very overwhelming to me. And sometimes I do enjoy spending time with my family, but it's too much. So I need my alone time every once in a while. And sometimes I just don't want to watch a movie. I do appreciate the offer. It's just, it can get it can feel overbearing sometimes.
All right, can hear perfectly, but I couldn't see the video. All good. I know. I noticed something was happening there with Zoom. Thanks for bearing with me while I'm figuring out how to go back and forth between the panels, but I'm glad you could hear her. So I think I'm hearing this theme from a lot of teenagers. They want to spend time with their parents, but they also need alone time, you know, and that's huge. And so I am pulling up some questions here. Okay, and so what I want to ask you to do is, as you send in your questions, put a little note if you're willing to come up live with me right now and ask your question live. I thought that would be really interesting to have someone come up live and ask a question. So if you have a question and you send it in, or if you already sent one in, you can let me know that you want to come up live. I have a question here. Okay. About the teachers. And some of you are asking about the teachers. This question comes from a parent. I'm very frustrated because the teachers are not teaching online. Most are giving short assignments. The less they require, the less my 13-year-old wants to do. And then I have to become the policewoman, or then I have to come up with ideas. So yeah, I can relate. I've heard about this. You know, I think right now, one of the things that's a huge challenge for parents is filling in the time, right? So some parents are telling me their kid has so much work that they don't know how to manage it. And other parents are saying, my kids don't have enough work. So we have to be flexible. We have to be understanding that the schools are dealing with this for the first time. If you don't think that your teen has enough work, that your middle schooler doesn't have enough work to do, maybe you want to go on to a resource and find some things for them to do. If you know Common Sense Media, I love the program that they created. There it is. It's called Wide Open School. You can choose, you know, the different grades, right? So if you have a middle schooler or a high schooler, you can go here and find great stuff for emotional well-being, for moving, arts, music. They also have learning at home. So if you want to find some other academic activities, another thing you could do is email the teacher and say, hey, my kid could actually use some more assignments. Anything else you can do, you know, for them. The other thing I'm going to suggest is that it's a great opportunity for other skill development, other hobby development. So what I did in my house, my middle schooler son is really into computers. He really loves programs. He's been wanting to learn Photoshop for a long time. So we got a student subscription to the Adobe programs, and we went on to a site called Skillshare, where he is able to take lessons. He happens to be pretty self-directed. I'm grateful for that. He's doing the lessons when he's done with the schoolwork, right? If you're raising your hand, that's great. The name of the, what was the name of the program is Skillshare. Skillshare.com has a ton of free videos, and then I think there's like a paid part too, where you can learn all kinds of hobbies and skills. So if your kid happens to be someone who is self-directed and can follow along, then that could be really great. If your kid is not so self-directed, then maybe that's not going to work out as well for them. Does anyone want to, if anyone wants to come on live and ask a question, remember, just put it in your question. I'd like to go to another teen video that I think can be really helpful for all of us. This is about how do we respond when our kids are expressing really hard emotions, whether they're crying or struggling. And this was a group interview I did with a bunch of teens that I work with. They're actually teen mentors in my program that I'm running online for teens. Let me go over here to the place I marked, where I think this is a really important point for parents of kids of all ages. So let's listen, and I will then summarize.
Ashna.
It kind of goes into what like Bella said, but I wish sometimes like my mom would like, instead of like, I feel like she kind of tries.
Sorry, let me make sure I shared the sound. Let me just do it again. Oh, good, I did share the sound. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for your patience. I just want to make sure you can hear.
To like justify things. Like I was really upset when my SAT got canceled and I was like crying, but like instead of being like I know that's hard because like you really worked for it and now like you're gonna have to wait. Like instead she was like, well, like of course they're gonna have to cancel it. Like I feel like I wish sometimes parents would kind of like empathize with you instead of finding a reason. Cause like even like I know the reason, like of course it had to get canceled, but like in the moment you're really upset about it. So like.
That's great. I love this point that this teenager made. Stop my share, come back to my face. Hi. Okay. So this is such an important point that I've made so many times for parents. When our kids, no matter what age they are coming to us with strong emotions, tears, anger, frustration, whatever it is, anxiety, right? Our instinct as adults is to jump to solutions or logical explanations. And that usually drives them insane. And you'll see it fuels the fire more. What do we need to do first? We need to stop. We need to be with them in the emotion. This teenager said empathize, right? We can call it validating their feelings or empathizing. You want to go to the feeling with them. Be with the feeling. Sit down. Be quiet. Nod your head. This sounds hard. You sound so disappointed. Ooh, I know this is tough. And just be silent. Let them go. Let them vent, right? You'll notice at some point they're going to release those emotions and they're going to have had enough of the releasing the emotion. We want to just be there, hold the space. When they're done with the emotion, the next great question is, do you want my help? Do you want my help calming down? Or do you want my feedback? Or do you want me to tell you what I'm thinking? Now, younger children will often want the help. They'll jump right to like, yeah, right? Or maybe they won't know how to ask and they'll just fall into your arms with a hug. A lot of teenagers might say, okay, now I'm ready. Some teenagers might say, I actually don't want to talk about it anymore. I need to go lie down, have a break, whatever it is. So just remember when your teen or your child comes to you with emotions, be with the emotion first, support them and validate them, and then move to the problem solving. That's a really, really important one. Let me get to some of your other questions. Oh gosh, stress levels through the roof, guys. How do I take care of myself? Listen, this is a really important one. I was thinking about a lot of parents have asked this, like, how do I deal with myself? What are suggestions for me? It's so important to take care of yourself first before you're able to effectively parent, especially during this time. Most parents right now are homeschooling, working from home, still managing the house, worried about bills, worried about finances, not doing the normal, shopping routines. All the routines have changed. And so this is intense. This is stressful. You have to take care of yourself. So that might be 5 minutes a day. That might be 20 minutes a day. You have to figure out what works for you. It's like, how you're on an airplane and they tell you, like, if the oxygen masks come down, put yours on first. Most parents probably wouldn't. We jump to taking care of everyone else. You really have to give yourself the oxygen right now. You have to recharge. If you don't, you're not going to be your best. You're going to be more irritable, more likely to yell and freak out, and you're not going to role model positive ways of handling the situation, right? So take care of yourself. What does it mean for you? If some of you want to chat into the window, have you been taking care of yourself? Just a yes or no. Have you been taking care of yourself? Just chat into the window, a yes or a no. This is really important. I'm saying yes, I'm saying no. It might be 5 minutes of a guided meditation, go to Headspace or go to Calm or put on some music and just look out the window at some birds or some clouds passing. Put on a timer for 5 minutes and make an intention to not think about anything and just to look outside and if you want to think about something, the thing that really helps is to think about all the things you're grateful for. Okay. We know scientifically now that thinking about gratitude, things you're grateful for, will actually shift your mindset and boost your mood. So I've been making a point of doing this. I look in the mirror and I list things I am grateful for. I did this with my family at a meal the other day. I was listening to a podcast and one of the guests on the podcast said that he was listing as many things going around and around the table with his kids and family. I thought that was a great idea. So I did that yesterday with my family and we just went around and listed all the little things we were grateful for, anything little. It could be, the little flower that popped up, or it could be, that we got pizza for dinner, or maybe something big that our family's healthy. But when you do that, you'll see you change the mood, you change the tone. What else are people doing? Exercise is so huge, soothing movement, walking daily. I could have walked to Florida by now. I love that. Walking is tremendous. Physical exercise is also, we know that the science supports that. If you do physical exercise, you're going to boost your mood. Physical and mental health, so important. Then you're going to be able to come to your kids with more calm. And that is really, really important. I'd like to take another question. There's a lot of questions coming in. Okay, we talked about parents. Okay, when we try to say these things, our teens are saying, stop answering me like you're a therapist. Okay, I love that. So if your teenager is saying to you, stop trying to help, you sound like a therapist, I think that means you're doing a good job. So let them criticize you, but they know you're there, okay? And you can say to them, you don't have to talk to me now. I just want you to know I'm here for you if you need me, okay? And that's really important. You have to figure out the frequency at which you need to check in with your teen. daily is probably way too much for a teen that seems to be doing relatively well, right? So maybe once a week, we want to sit at the end of their bed at night and say, just tell me, like, how are you doing? Are you okay? Are you feeling really stressed? Like, how are you managing, right? So we want to do that. We want to gauge that. And if they make fun of you, that's fine. Most teenagers are going to laugh at you if you teach them how to do a deep breath, or you talk to them about a meditation, and then they'll go in their room and shut the door and try it themselves. I've had hundreds of teenagers tell me that they're doing deep breathing and meditation and mindfulness. They definitely do it. Not all of them, but whatever you think is helping you, model it for them. I think that's really important. I'd like to show you another clip of a teenager that I think has some important things to share as well. So let me get here. This is a teen. I asked him the question, he told me some great things his parents are doing that have been helpful. And I asked him, is there something they're doing that's not so helpful? I think that might be the most useful for everyone here tonight. Let's hear what he has to say.
They've both been pretty, hell-bent on asking me about, oh, what are you thinking? Like, have you given any thought about college? What's your standpoint on what you want to do? How are you doing? How is it going? And just, thinking about the way school is going right now causes some stress, because I'm really struggling I always struggled in school. I've never been a very academically strong person, and that's fine, but especially now, it's really hard for me. And I think, if I say, oh, it's not going so well, I'm missing a lot of assignments.
All right. That's what I wanted you guys to hear. Thanks. Let me get out here. Okay. So this is another big theme that's coming up with parents and teenagers that have been talking to me about the grades and the expectations. So my feedback is this. We know the research shows us, if we look at the research that's done on interrelational neurobiology, which basically means what's happening in the mind during relationships and what makes people feel at their best. And if we combine that with the longitudinal research about what do people report in terms of lifetime happiness and success, we know that it's healthy relationships. It's healthy relationships across a lifetime, connections, positive connections with people. It doesn't have to be quantity, it just needs to be quality. Healthy relationships with people not only in the moment boost our mood and make us feel better about life, that we have something meaningful that we connect to, but also across the lifespan, people report having happier lives. So it's healthy connections and relationships. You know what it's not? It's not grades. It's never been grades. It's never been AP test scores. It has never been rankings at schools, okay? So I think right now we have to truly prioritize connecting with our kids and deprioritize grades. For kids like the teen you just heard from who normally struggles academically, this is really hard. They can't stay on top of their work. It feels overwhelming. It's hard to self-motivate. They feel like the work is piling up and they don't know how to catch up. There's no change of environment, right? So we have to let that go a little bit. I had another teenager say to me that she really just hopes she passes and she just isn't going to care about what grade she gets for marking period 3 and 4 this year. And she's asking her parents to please just let it go. And so I think that's truly important. I know it could be hard for some of us. Mental health, bonding, social connections, those are more important right now than the grades. For those of you who know me and who heard me talk about social media, you'll know that I feel very strongly about having the right balance between screen time and non-screen time. So I've gotten a lot of questions about screen time. What I will say is, ease up, don't feel guilty. We're all trying to figure out how to have a new balance. It's going to take more than a few days or even a few weeks to figure out that balance. So if your kids are using screen time more right now, it's okay. If you're using screen time as a babysitter with younger ones because you have to work, it's okay. We're more in survival mode right now, right? What I will say you could be thinking about is that not all screen time is created equal. I like to think of some screen time as kind of like very passive, a little addictive and passive. So that's just like binge watching Netflix and YouTube, scrolling through Instagram. That's kind of passive, right? More creative screen time can be more engaging. So creating, videos or doing projects that you're posting, things like that. The other part of screen time that right now is essential is social contact. So encourage your kids to be using FaceTime or to be using Zoom, to have face-to-face contact with their friends. Really important. I'm glad that some of you are saying you're agreeing. Really important to use the technology to have face-to-face contact with friends, so they could see facial expressions, they could hear tone of voice. We know that facial expressions and tone of voice are actually connected to the part of the brain that's tied to emotions. So we feel satisfaction and love and bonding when we see facial expressions and hear tone of voice and see the gestures and all those things, right? If it's just text all the time, we're not going to feel as satisfied. So what I've been suggesting to parents is that you actually make sure you're helping your kids to schedule that play date time for the younger ones, and you're encouraging teens to make sure they have time hanging out with their friends. And if they're having trouble doing it, maybe you can help them to organize that and facilitate that. That's really important that they have the face-to-face time. I'd like to take some other questions. If anyone wants to raise your hand, if you would like to come up live with me. If not, no problem. I know I'm putting you on the spot and everyone's wearing their pajamas probably. All right, great. I have someone who's interested in coming up. Kathleen, I'm going to bring you up right now to come on live with me. This should work. It usually works when I do with my teens. Kathleen, can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. We can hear you but can't see you. Do you want us to see you?
That's okay. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't matter to me. That's
well,
fine.
if you don't mind and you want to put your video on, that's always fun. But if you want to,
how do I do that?
well, I guess.
Okay.
Yay.
Okay.
Okay, good. Kathleen, welcome and thanks for being here. What is your question?
My question is about the senior year people who pretended in the beginning they were crying about it. Now my daughter's in the anger phase saying she doesn't care about it. Those people are out of her life anyway, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I know. So it's hard.
So she's really like, I really don't give a blank about it anymore. I'm never going to see those people again.
Right. It is a sad loss for the seniors. I mean, I know in some towns they've made definitive decisions, in some towns they have not. But it is a grieving process. It's a loss. And I think a lot of us adults and teenagers and kids have been experiencing the grieving process, the loss of contact with friends or the loss of special events like senior year. So it sounds like you're observing your teenager go through some of those stages, right? You said there's anger happening right now.
Yeah.
So what's your specific question? Is it about how to support them?
I just didn't know if anybody knew or you knew. Some towns were starting to say they were going to try to celebrate in different ways, like drive-by graduations or whatever they're coming up with.
Yeah, I mean, certainly other audience members can chat in the window right now about some ideas. What I've been hearing is that there will likely be some kind of virtual ceremony. I think they're going to have to figure out how to do that. And I'm sure, communities will come up with some fun ways of celebrating. Maybe it'll be decorating homes, maybe it'll be drive-bys, things like that. I think what's important right now is to give your teenager that validation that this is hard and this is a loss, that we don't have to jump right now to the conclusion of what we're going to do, but that, yeah, this is a huge bummer that they've been looking forward to their whole, high school, their whole lives to get to this point to celebrate. And I think what parents can say is that we're going to do our best to honor you and celebrate you when the time comes. It's going to be different, but we're going to get creative. And maybe the teenagers themselves, the seniors themselves, will be able to come up with really creative ways of celebrating. But I hope they go through those phases. Maybe there's that anger right now. Maybe then it will get creative and there'll be that acceptance.
Okay.
How do you feel about it personally? Are you sad?
Me, yeah, she's my only child. I wanted to see her graduate. I only have one kid, so yeah.
Yeah. You want to see that. I mean, and I think what's going to happen is you are going to see it, but it's just going to look really differently. It's going to look
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
otherwise.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
Thanks, Kathleen, for being here. I appreciate you coming up and bringing some life to the audience.
Thank you.
Stay positive. Take care.
Next.
That's great. I see some people, chatting about, that it is sad for seniors, and, you're having some of those other experiences. I'd like to invite one other parent to come up. I'm going to call up Melanie here. I see your hand is up. Here you come. Melanie, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, great. You want to do video?
Sure.
So I think you're just there you go. Hi, Melanie.
Hi, everybody. Hi,
Oh my God.
Lauren.
And you're so cool, like the teens that come on with dyed hair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've got, it's getting more interesting by the day. So.
Exactly. I love it. All right. What's your question, Melanie?
Well, I have a complex situation because I have a almost 21-year-old who is still in a high school program at a special ed school. I have a third grader who it took us years to get him placed and finally got him in a great placement at Chapel Hill. And, unfortunately, my daughter has now ended up with her stress and anxiety in the psych unit, which is not where you want anybody to be right now.
Sorry
and my third grader, this is just not this distance. It's not even distance learning. I don't know what to call it. This virtual learning. He supposedly does okay for his father, but he's, being having autism, ADHD, and anxiety. He acts out a lot, and I found that just when I'm just being a positive parent, which is hard to do, and when you're trying to fight him to get these online lessons done, but I find that learning is occurring, but my stress level is through the roof with the both of them. And I was just looking for some guidance, doing the assignments. I'm trying to do it different ways, but just getting him to sit and do it. I almost feel like I'd be better off just, I hate to say it, but bagging the whole thing and just trying to get learning, looking at what the assignments are and then just coming up with something myself, which sounds counterintuitive, but
well, I think it's creative. Melanie, you've got a lot going on. This is like, super mom mode more than ever. And I think that you should absolutely get creative. Use your contacts with the schools, the teachers, the counselors, the administration. They're all also struggling with how to best support their students and families. And I'm sure they want to get collaborative. I would get them on the phone, tell them exactly what you said and say, listen, I could look at the learning objectives, but I cannot, I'm not having success sitting down with him at the computer. I want to take that outside. I want to take that science lesson outside and just let him, feel the dirt to learn what's under the ground. To count the birds or the leaves to do our math. I mean, I would definitely get creative. You have to make sure that those relationships at home and everyone's mental health is stable and solid. To me right now, that comes above whatever specific requests the schools are asking of you.
Yeah.
And so that's my feedback for you. And I think that probably applies to a lot of families out there. Get on the phone with the teachers and the counselors and make it a team effort to decide what's best. This way, that they know you care and you're doing your best. I feel very confident that they're going to be supportive. What I want to also suggest is, when we come back, I'm going to do this for the next few weeks. If you want to come back, I hope a lot of you will come back. Hope all you'll come back. But for example, Melanie and Kathleen, if those of you are coming up to ask questions, if you want to come back and give us an update next week, we can track some of this feedback that you're getting and see what's working. I'd love to hear. I hope you'll come back next week, Melanie.
Definitely.
Do that. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Great. Really great feedback and really important point. All right. I have another question that's really important that I want to get to, that is about older teenagers and young college age. How much do we try to regulate their schedules? Do we let them stay up? What do we do? I have another great clip to show you from one of our teens who spoke directly about this. And I think it's really great for us to listen to what they're saying. So let me share again one more interview from one of the teens. And let's hear what she has to say about these schedules. Okay, so let me get to my spot that I marked out. 5 minutes, 25 seconds. I did my preparation for you guys. All right, let's hear.
Like, I know it's like my mom's good intention, but I feel like sometimes she tries to like dictate when I sleep and wake up. But I know that that's like helpful, but I feel like sometimes like if I want to sleep later, then I know I'll wake up later, but like I'm still being productive for that whole time. So I feel like sometimes she like makes me set an alarm for like 9 a.m. for like no reason. And it's like, if I know that I can like sleep later, then like, why would I wake up that early kind of?
Right. So what's your ideal schedule?
I go to sleep kind of late. So like around like 1-ish, and then like I'll wake up at like maybe 12, but I'll still get my homework done from like 12 to 1 instead of like earlier, like she wants.
All right. Oh, I love that. Let me get back here. I love that. So listen, if you have a schedule right now that's working for your family, don't change it. If you're struggling with schedules and you have teenagers or young college kids that want to sleep late and work late, you have to remember the natural biological clock for teens is to stay up late and sleep late. That's actually the natural rhythm of their mind. What better time for them to have this experience to do that than now? If they're getting their work done and they're being responsible and doing chores around the house, I say let them have the freedom to make that choice. Now, you should have an open dialogue with them about them. You tell them your concerns. My concerns are that when we do go back to school, you might not be able to wake up. Or my concerns is that, you'll sleep so late and you'll keep sleeping later and later that you won't get things done. Or my concern is that I won't see you. Compromise, so maybe it's not sleeping till noon, maybe it's sleeping till 10 or 10:30. Maybe if you don't get your work done by a certain time or assignments are not in, then we're going to go back to my schedule, right? But I think this is an opportunity to give them freedom and a sense of control. They want that right now more than anything. We all want a sense of control right now. So find ways to give children and teens a small sense of control in their life so that they feel good, less stressed, less anxious. Try it and see what happens. Okay, I think that's really the key. I am going to throw up another poll. I'm going to put up another poll for you all. I'd like to hear from you guys about the hardest part of your day. What's the hardest part of your day? Is it the mornings, the afternoons? Is it bedtime? Or is it the entire day? So you can click on your screen there or on your phone, whatever you're using. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. Nice. The answers are coming in. Terrific. I'd like to do a poll and then ask you all a quick question. All right, great. Let me launch the poll results for you. Interesting. So mornings are tough. Entire day is kind of hard too. Mornings can be tough. So that's really understandable. I've been experiencing myself. So I've had some mornings where I've actually set my alarm clock pretty early, and I've gotten up earlier than my kids so I can, number one, take care of myself, and then I can kind of do some things that I know I need to do for work or for myself before I have to focus on them. I think the key is to set a schedule, but then be really flexible, right? So the schedule's there to create some kind of guideline, but then do not force yourself or your kids to stick to it 100%, right? It's a loose schedule to make sure we're hitting these points. I think the other really important thing for parents right now is to do your very best to make an intention when the day starts, to take it slow and to be calm. Like I tell myself every day, I'm going to be calm, I'm going to be loving, I'm going to be my best. And if I know I'm walking into a situation, like I'm about to walk into a room where my kids are doing work and soon they're going to be hungry and I also have to get things done, that time especially I tell myself, okay, I take my moment, take my breath, I just remember who I am and who I want to be. I'm going to be calm, I'm going to be loving. I'm going to be helpful. Not going to have expectations. I'm going to kind of just be in the moment, go with the flow. Those little reminders that I give myself throughout the day connect me to who I really am, who I really want to be. And all those expectations and all the plans and all the scheduling just goes away, and I'm present with my kids. And if we go back to what's the most important thing for them right now, it's love and connection, social connection, positive connection, more important than grades. So I think as I wrap up for you guys, that's going to be my final word, is to sprinkle a dash of love on everything. Just put a little extra word of love, create a little laughter, give a hug if it's needed, if it's wanted, just try to lighten everything up. We don't really know exactly what's to come. All we know is what's right in front of us in the moment. And if it's your kid having a meltdown, give them the space to do so, give them that validation, give them a little love. And I hope that this has been helpful and rewarding. You have so many great questions that have come in. I actually can print out a report of the questions, which is great. I'm going to go through them. I'm going to look for themes and things that we might not have answered. We're going to be back next week. Here we go. We will be back. We will be back next week at the same time, Monday the 27th at 7:30. Right now, I've created this as a 4-week series, webinar series for the next 4 Mondays at 7:30. You can use the same exact link to log in again. Please invite other parents to join. The more, the better. I really want to create a supportive community and opportunity for parents to get extra help right now during this time. If you have teenagers that need support, the program I'm running is every weekday, Monday through Friday at 7 o'clock. It's called Talk About Real Things. They can go to talkaboutrealthings.com and register there. They can join us and my teen mentors who are giving them live feedback. If you need more support, if you think that your family situation is especially challenged, if you're dealing with more mental health symptoms, reach out to my office, wellbeingtherapycenter.com. My staff and I are doing free 15-minute consultations if you want to get a sense of how we can help. And we are doing all of our professional therapy online right now. It's really effective over video chat. And so if you think that's something you need, please know we're here to help. The teen program is free. Yes, the teen program is free. And this webinar series is free. I have had a great time being here, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with me. I hope it was helpful. Feel free to send me some feedback with ideas. Stay positive, everyone. Have a great night. And I really look forward to seeing you all again next week. Take care, everyone. Stay positive. You're welcome. Thanks for all the thank yous. I'll leave it up as everyone's departing. Have a great night.